Once again, it's pretty thick up here, so. This is the Buck Vantage Select working at this piece of wood. Oh boy, here's how I'm going to start this review. I'm going to start by saying that, first of all, you've clicked on one of the most asked for knife reviews, I think, since knife reviews have ever been invented. On YouTube or any other source of media, ever since people have been talking about knives on any type of media, it doesn't matter if it's television or anything else, this is probably one of the most asked for, debated, questioned knife that is on the market right now. So much controversy over this knife, and I think it's just because, I don't know, and I suspected it too. As soon as I seen this on Gerber's website, I seen it there and I was like, I don't know, it's gonna be one of those, and I was right. So you clicked on the review, you know what it is. I'm not going to hold back the suspense any longer. But there it is. The Bear Grylls Woodsman 500 here, by the way. Thanks for tuning in. I do a lot of different reviews and outdoor videos, so look out for those. But today we're talking about this knife. Once again, I've got quite a few different requests from a few different people. You know, review the knife, review the knife. But I don't know, the knife just didn't excite me. I guess I had to go and see a few reviews first of it, and even then it just didn't really excite me a whole lot. But we're gonna talk about it here today, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the review. Enough small talk, let's get into it. I know you guys really want to know what the whole knife is about. Hopefully you guys can see alright, got some nice natural light flowing in. But here is another fixed blade knife review. Pulling it out of the sheath, I'll pull this aside for now, we'll talk about that here later. Pulling it out of the sheath, here it is. This is the Bear Grylls survival knife. I think it's a 7.5 inch blade, 1/2 inch thick, comes down to a decent tip. You know, all the stuff that you've seen in a couple other Gerber knives. The one thing I did notice as soon as I seen it, I'm not a really huge Gerber fan, but I do keep an eye on some of their different innovations and stuff and different knives that they come out with. The one thing I said was, as soon as I seen it, I said, man, that looks like the LMF by Gerber. And then, as soon as I seen the folding version of this, the Bear Grylls folder, sheath folder, I saw it and I thought, well, man, that looks like the Gerber Freeman. So what they're doing is they're just bouncing off previous Gerber designs. And they do look a lot alike. But this knife is a cheaper version. It's right around, I don't know, 50 bucks, I think, Canadian. You might, like I said, we pay more for it down here than we do down in the States, but I think it'll run you right about there. Made in China. But I mean, the purpose of this knife, getting to the purpose right away, I think this goes down in my talking points. I think we're jumping down all the way to category. But I would categorize this as kind of an introductory knife. So if you were looking at knife collecting, knife using, knife reviewing, this would be a great starting knife. Just because everybody knows Bear Grylls for his show, his TV show, you see him all the time. He's a big survivalist. So it just gets the word out that, you know, you own a knife, you get a good quality one, they're awesome. Okay, so I think that was the point of this knife, is just to get more knives into the hands of people and to get them excited about a knife and then make them go buy more. I think that was the purpose of this knife. Alright, so getting back to the blade, it is handle heavy, the balance isn't perfect, it's a little heavy in the handle. But it's got nice thickness to it. It chops really good. The one thing that I did notice is that while I was battoning, the knife would kind of go sideways into the wood. That could have just been the type of wood I was battoning, but either way, it's a great splitter just because of that thickness. And the tip comes down very nice. I really like the tip on it, just because it's so strong. We'll get a nice little close-up here, using the talking points as a nice close-up. But as you can see, it's a really nice blade. Unsharpened swedge right there. Kind of a drop point design, hollow ground. And it does have serrations. I don't know if that's part of my talking voice or not. Yes, it is. Let's talk about the serrations, because I think this is a big hit. They do have a model of this that is just a regular plain edge. I think that would be your better option. It just depends on what you're doing it with your knife, but this is what happened to my serrations. As you can see, they're chipped, they're dinged up, banged up. You can really see it on this side. And I kind of thought that I'd have trouble with the serrations because of this knife, the Gerber Big Rock. The serrations are no longer on this knife. As you can see, I did a paint job. It kind of sucks, but as you can see, the serrations are gone. This was partially serrated. I took a big chip out of it. Me and Outdoors Guy 500 off camera doing some knife testing. But I took a huge chunk out of that because, and the serrations got really dinged up just like it did on that one. I don't know if it's the Gerber steel. Gerber is actually releasing their steels. I noticed that in the Cabela's catalog. They're starting to release the names of their steels. D2 was one that I seen, and then 440C, which I always thought it was. I think this is a variation of 440C myself. I think this one is too. I think that one's the same thing. Just depends. I don't know. But with this one, they're not telling us the blade steel, which I really like to know what my blade steels are. Maybe it's just me, but if I know what blade steels I'm using, I can research it, I can look it up, you know, see previous history, some different blades that use that steel, and I can really, you know, choose how to sharpen it well, and I'll just like to know. It's just one of my things. I just like to know what steel it is. Moving on to the handle, like I said, it is handle heavy, but the one thing I did like about it, I actually really like this part, is that it's really nice. It has nice curves. So it has really nice curvature, comes down to the pommel, but it fits really well in your hand. That finger choil is really good. They got a little bit of serrations there, I'm not going to call it jimping. That comes up to a little bit of a thumb ramp. Your hand isn't going to get bumped up either. But there's it's not really there. I can't seem to get a good grip. There is holes there for attaching it to a spear. A decent sized lanyard hole, I'm gonna say. Not super huge, but it's a decent size. You can get a good hunk of rope in there. And then to finish it all off on the back here, there's a pommel. This is what turned a lot of people off from the knife, I know, because they seen the reviews and they were coming off in the earlier editions. This is a 2011 model. If you do get the 2010 model, just look on the packaging. It's on the side there. It's written in, you know, what model it is. Get the 2012 or 2011 model and the 2012 model. I don't know if they've come out with one yet. But the pommels were popping off, and they were having troubles with it when it first came out in 2011. They were coming off. But I haven't had any troubles with this one yet. It seems to be holding up very nicely. 3/4 tang through the handle, that's what I heard, and then I heard another thing that said it was a full tang. So I assume it's 3/4, just from what I heard. The sheath, I'm going to talk about the sheath because I think it's interesting what they did here, and I actually kind of like it. It's heavy. First off, it's a heavier sheath. Especially with the knife in it, I think it's a lot heavier. I think it's pushing 12 ounces with everything included. But the sheath is kind of interesting. I like it. You've got a little bit of Velcro here. The knife is held in by this Gerber. Right where the Gerber logo is, it's a little piece of plastic. But if you look, when I lock in the knife, that's actually what holds it. It's not this piece of Velcro. It's actually that there, and it's not popped out on me yet. And all you gotta do is depress it with your thumb, and it works very well. Like I said, that's not my main thing. Usually I leave that off if I'm using the knife a lot. You've got two different carry options. I'm not sure why they put these on here. I assume it's for a horizontal carry. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know where you'd ever put it because it's such a long sheath. It's a really long, drawn-out sheath. I just use a regular belt. And also on the back here you get some rescue signals and stuff like that. Very useful actually to know this stuff. I would never remember all this. But it's good for a first-time knife user, maybe somebody who's a first-time backpacker. That is excellent information to know right on the back there. Sheath is also made in China. Flipping it over, over here, if you take that little bit of Velcro off where the Bear logo is, that adds a really nice touch, I must say. If you flip it over on here, there's actually a diamond sharpener, and then there's also a bit of Velcro right here where you can actually detach that piece and then just carry the knife in that section right here. Maybe just throw that part in your backpack, leave that at home, and it'll save you a few ounces. That's just an option there that I noticed that you could do. I just put this back on here. And then on the outside, there's also a flint striker. I've heard a few different things about the flint striker, that it's broken on a few people because it is smaller in size. I did test this flint striker, so I've used it. The one thing I will say about it is that when I'm using it in conjunction with the knife, I can't see where my sparks are landing, and it's kind of hard in that sense that I can't see it. But the one good thing about it is that it's right on my belt, and if I have my knife, I can start a fire. One downside is if I lose my knife, I lose my fire, which isn't usually a big problem for me because I usually have my fire kit with me. There it is right there. But still, I mean, if I don't know, I just don't, I think that could get lost very easily too. It holds in there fairly well, and it's waterproof in there. So I already talked about the serrations. I already talked about the comfortable handle. That was probably one of my favorite parts, was that how comfortable it was. I'd like to see that jimping sharper on the back there. Style, I already kind of talked about that when I said, you know, it is something that people are going to see in the stores. They're going to say, oh yeah, I know that guy, he has a television show on survival, maybe I'll buy that knife. And then they get hooked on knives, hopefully. I think that was the main point of this, because he is such a popular guy from his television show at Discovery Channel. Price is $60. It is a little bit high. I would like to see them nudge it down just a little bit, because it would, like I said, it would get it into a lot more people's hands and to see the knife. And once again, the serrations, get the plain edge version, because with me, those serrations are just no good, especially on any Gerber knife that you get. Just make sure that it's a plain edge. Extra features, I already talked about the flint striker. Didn't really talk about this a whole lot either. That's your sharpener on the back there. You can use it in conjunction with the blade to sharpen. Would I ever use it? Nah, probably not. There is screws there, so if you wanted to detach it off of this plastic part right here, which I think would be a good option if you're looking to save a few ounces, but you can detach it off the back of the sheath, and that would lighten it up. Not a lot, but it would lighten it up a little bit for you. So there you have it. That's my review of the Gerber, the ultimate survival knife. Like I said, I was a bit skeptical at first. The serrations, though, is a big deal for me. I knew, kind of had a sneaking suspicion that it was going to happen due to my past experiences with the Gerber Big Rock. But it still is a very well designed knife. Like I said, I would like to see that balance a little bit better, because it is really handle heavy. It chops alright, pretty decent for what it is, but it locks in fairly well. And like I said, that curvature on the handle is very nice, and it feels really good in my hand. Like I said, get rid of just go and buy the plain edge knife if you're doing a lot of chopping. That's what happened to me. I was chopping with it back here on the serrations, and it dinged them up. That could just be a standard with the Gerber. Like I said, if you're doing a lot of chopping, go get the plain edge. Battoning, I didn't have any problems with the serrations. It was just when I started chopping with it that I had problems. And you could also use it of this portion of the blade as well. Like I said, it does go dull easy. All Gerber steels don't tend to hold an edge with me. But now that they're getting in, they also use S30V. I've seen that they used. So if you get some of their higher end knives, you're going to get higher end steels. So Woodsman 500 here, guys. Another review. The Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Knife. Topping off my knife reviews for a very long time with this, probably the most requested knife review since knife reviews have been out. Woodsman 500 here, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more videos. More to come. Wow. because the blade's in the way. I can't see where my flints are landing. Make it a little bit tighter here. Okay, here we go. There we go. That together. And there you have it.